Hello and welcome to Greater Dayton Live. Today we are talking with students from Bosnia and Herzegovina, to be exact, one group of youth leadership program from Tuzla. Could you just introduce yourselves?
Hello, I'm Azur and I'm 17 years old.
Hello, my name is Harun and I'm 17.
Hello, I'm Lana and I'm 17.
My name is Janan and I'm 17 years old.
I'm Katarina and I'm also 17.
I'm Danya and I'm also 17.
Thank you. Can we get a two-word check check-in to describe your time in the US so far?
I would say, I would say an amazing opportunity.
Interesting experience.
I would say that this is innovative and amazing.
It was a diverse surprise.
Fun experience.
Different from usual.
What generation do you identify with, and what is one word that describes your generation the best?
Okay. I wouldn't say I have like a particular generation I actually describe with, and like I don't identify myself like with anybody more than like our generation, but I would say the 90s were a really good opportunity to like live life with full lungs, because there wasn't as much of social media as it is now, and then people were meeting in person more, and so my answer would be 90s.
Well, I'd say I identify as Gen Z because I am part of that generation. I also say like our generation is innovative in a sense that we are the future of this world, obviously, and yeah.
For me, every generation has something special about it. The one that has something beautiful and nice, but the one that I love the most is Gen X because of my parents, so that's it.
I personally identify with Gen Z because we are the generation of change, and I really do want to see the change that we're supposed to bring. So I wear it with pride that I'm Gen Z, the actual generation of change.
The generation I mostly identify is probably also Gen Z, because of not the time period when I was born, but also like all the people I meet and all have different ideas, but are also like very intertwined and connected, so the change they will probably bring.
Yeah, I also probably identify with Gen Z, but also like the 2000s, and that's like, yeah, basically.
Okay. So you are obviously all young leaders and active members of your community. You wouldn't be here if that wasn't the case. So as Janan already said, you are a generation that is ready to make change. So what would be the thing you enjoy the most about being the young member in today's world?
Okay, so like what's actually the best thing of living right now is that there's countless opportunities online and live as well. So this is one of them that we got a chance to participate in, a way to come far from home to America and experience a different culture and history, and meet all of the great people, as well as meet like how people work and how the society functions. So I would say now is the time when when we look back to the history, now is the time where you can reach all around the world online and reach all of the opportunities all across the world. So it's a countless opportunity for you, for like your knowledge, as well as like expanding your community, maybe building a career. So that would be a conclusion. It's opportunistic right now the most.
I'd say it's just the fact that life is ahead of us, so we have plenty of time to work on ourselves, and even the mistakes that we make can be corrected eventually, and that's what life is about. So essentially, our generation has that, I guess, luck and the gift of being born in the modern days when everything is much more available. So, yeah.
So I'm glad to be a member of this generation, because in these days everything's possible. Everything's possible, and anyone can bring change. Even one voice can mean something. So that's really important.
In today's age, we are much more connected to each other. There are more opportunities, as Azur said, and those opportunities are made available to more and more people, be it rural, urban, poor. I mean, people are working on trying to modernize the poor population as well. The more rural, the more out of connection. The mere change needs to happen on a global scale, and I think we are very close to accomplishing that.
Well, we have a lot of our lives ahead of us, so we learn from the experiences we get with communicating with other peoples. We seek opportunities, and this program was also one of those opportunities, and I think we'll have even more. So to learn from people that have not that knowledge and pass that knowledge to us, I think it's very meaningful, and it will help us.
Yeah. Well, basically, they already said everything. It's basically mostly about the opportunities we have today and the chances we have to take to better our world.
Okay. So we are all in 21st century, and we have million ways to access news. How do you usually access news?
I would say I think that everybody will agree that our generation doesn't use the traditional sources of information. So it's probably gonna be social media, or because traditional sources as newspapers or the news are not conventional and not as easy to access as now, because we all have handphones which are gonna be instantly where we have the news. So it's gonna probably be social media because it's the most express and it brings all the hot news instantly to your home.
Well, personally, I rarely use television or newspaper or stuff that used to be the source of news. Mostly I use social media and phone and pretty much internet overall, and that's where I get everything that I know about the new stuff going on in the world. So
Yeah, I think Wi-Fi allows us to find, see news and everything what's happening in the world with just one click. So that's something that's common these days, as newspapers were, 20 years ago, and also through other people, because people these days are very informed. So those two sources are kind of the most important that sum up everything.
Well, I think I get most of the news I consume from social media, specifically from Instagram. But the news today are just more sensationalized than they were in the past, and it's just getting worse and worse. It's harder to find a good news outlet that you can actually trust and actually follow.
Well, like they said, mostly social media is the way I find out information around the world.
Yeah, same, social media, but I also watch the news often.
Okay, so there are many false things in our news, on the internet. And how do you know and guess what's true and what's not?
Okay, so what we are actually being taught in the school as well is that you can't tell a lie from the truth if you don't have the knowledge. So I would say that the knowledge is the best way. If you read a lot, if you get yourself invested into actual happening in the world and the stuff you want to learn about, you're gonna probably have arguments to see and filter out those false news and those false sources from the truth ones. So I would say the educational system and knowledge and keeping up with the news and updating your knowledge to be up to date, it's what's gonna bring you to the truth and not false news.
Personally, as Azar mentioned, the knowledge and just educating yourself about what's the truth in the world is the most important thing. But also there are many sources of news and a lot of televisions. So you should choose the source that you trust the most and you think is not including their opinion based on if they like the person that is in the news and stuff. So just keep yourself out of it, and that's it.
To be honest, when I don't know if something's true and I don't know how to check it, I just talk to my parents and they kind of tell me everything that's happening. So I think that would be something that I would use.
Personally, I think Azur covered it very well, so it just aligns with my thinking.
Yeah, they already said it.
Yeah, basically just like it's important to not trust everything like on the first sight.
Okay, so as young leaders as you are, what would you say what are the most important leadership skills?
So what I think is that communication and ambition is one of the most important skills that you need to have in life, not only as a leader, but leader has to have those, especially like develop those skills, because we can't have a leader who doesn't have like as big ambition as the whole group than like compared to his does, because he needs to have the head up, he needs to have the strength to keep going when it's the hardest. So I think that's one of the biggest ones. And then communication as well is one of the most important ones, because as well it is okay to have an ambition, but it's next important thing is to know how to communicate that ambition and all the knowledge and all the plans you have into your group, because leader can't, he's called leader because he leads a group, and he can't achieve anything if he doesn't have a group. So I would say ambition and communication.
I'd say as a leader, the most important skill you should have is the social skills, so talking to other people, being able to guide the community you have behind you to the right path, and the way you execute the things that you're supposed to do is what determines you as a leader. Also, not being scared and not falling under the pressure that you have as a leader, because there is a lot of pressure. Everybody counts on you, and you will pretty much be the one that everybody looks up to eventually.
Being a leader is not just the one that leads the group. For me, it's the one that's a part of that group, or that actually was a part of that group and then became the leader. So I think it's important to know your priorities, to know that the best thing you could do is put the group in front of your own interests. And persistence, of course, that's the one thing I always say, because you're not always going to be a leader. So if you want to be a leader, you have to be persistent, you have to try, and you have to know what you want to do next. So that's kind of sums it up.
Yeah, I think to be a leader, you need to be thoughtful of the group you're trying to inspire. You need to be aware of the problems you're taking on with your group, and of the abilities that that group has, the strengths and weaknesses, so you can optimize the teamwork as much as possible.
Well, a leader should have all the qualities they already said, and I think knowledge and education on the topics or the cause they will fight for. So you can't go blind in anything. You have to have facts, knowledge, and information about what you're fighting for.
Yeah, basically everything they said, like communication and education is the most important.
Okay. So I can see that all 6 of you are really ambitious and you want to make a change. So what's one thing that you would like to change and see differently in your hometown?
Something that I would change about my town is probably bringing more joy, making them more happy, because we kind of lack happiness in our city. And right now I don't know how to bring it, but these projects will help us bring happiness, and I don't know, just making them feel like they're a part, like we're a community that really holds together. Right now we're lacking the unity that other countries maybe have.
Yeah, I think it's really important that people start speaking up, because our town is like really quiet when it comes to like really important matters. Like the NGOs are like strengthening up right now, but we need more like young people that are willing like to change our community for the better. Yeah.
So I'm sure there are many things are different here than in Bosnia. So do you see a difference in awareness of ecology in the United States and in Bosnia?
Well, awareness in ecology, the closest thing we have in Bosnia to actual awareness to ecology is when we go actually outside of it, to say Germany or some West Europe countries, and then we get shocked by they have different recycling bins, and they have these programs for water and this. And so when we come back, we try to you know, we actually subconsciously compare it, and we call our own country like not at all ecological or not forward-thinking of our future. But in the U.S., it's been more conscious, I can say. Maybe not as much as a few countries that hold the title in the world, but it is pretty high up there. They have recycling bins, I think, in every public place. I know they have filtering or water filter stations and fountains in each building, so I think it's a bit better, I mean a lot better actually than Bosnia.
And is anyone willing to answer shortly? How do you connect with nature in today's world?
Okay. There's a nice slugword in what Jenna said there, is that we should, like how I see it, I don't need a law to tell me that I shouldn't I shouldn't litter or I shouldn't throw trash on the ground, because I feel that it's gonna ruin the earth for us and for the next generation. So like we all should connect with nature in a way to feel guilty once we have any way of damaging it and choosing not to. So that should be the best way, just to connecting it as you don't want anybody harming you, we shouldn't harm the earth as well.
So nature is really important for me because I grew up with my grandpa in nature, and I would spend all days like out. So connecting with nature is something we should all be aware of, because we don't know how much we're harming it currently. So just being in the nature, just spending some time away from this modern world will kind of bring awareness to us. What we actually have and what we could actually use. It's beautiful.
Thank you. So that's all of the time we have. I'd like to thank our guests for joining us today, and be on the lookout for part 2 of the series of Great and Dayton Live as we speak with more students from Bosnia and Herzegovina. Thank you once again, and thank you for being here.
Thank you.
You.